What if everything you've been told about inflation is only half the story? What if the government's secret playbook is quietly rewriting the rules? And Bitcoin is the wild card nobody warned you about? This isn't conspiracy. This is reality. And it's happening right now. Welcome to the story the Federal Reserve doesn't want you to hear. Let's start simple. Inflation is silent tax. Everyone talks about it. Prices rise, money buys less, wallets feel lighter. But why? And more importantly, why now? Because inflation isn't just about prices going up. It's about power, control, and money, the money that shapes everything. The Fed, that mysterious institution, was born to keep inflation in check. Their job? Keep prices stable. But over the last decade, inflation has become unpredictable, sometimes low, sometimes dangerously high. And here's the twist. The Fed's usual tools, raising interest rates, tightening money supply, aren't working the way they used to. Why? Because the game has changed. You see, the Fed's power to control inflation is not absolute. It depends on one thing: trust. Trust that their money, the US dollar, actually means something. That when they print money, it doesn't just vanish into thin air. But what if that trust is fraying? What if the real inflation isn't the price of coffee or gas, but the value of the dollar itself? This is where Bitcoin enters the story. Bitcoin was created as an answer to a hidden problem nobody wanted to admit: unlimited money printing. The digital gold that can't be printed or manipulated by any government. And the Fed, they know this. Let me take you behind the curtain. After the 2008 financial crash, the Fed unleashed something called quantitative easing. Sounds complicated, but it's just a fancy term for printing trillions of dollars out of thin air. This money was supposed to stabilize banks, encourage lending, and spark economic growth. But it also planted the seeds for the inflation we see. Today, billions turned to trillions. The money supply exploded. Yet, inflation numbers remained oddly tame, or at least that's what official stats said. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The official inflation rate is often a mirage. The real inflation, what you feel at the grocery store, at the gas pump, is higher, much higher. Now, you might think the Fed is panicking, raising rates furiously, battling inflation head-on. But here's the absurd part. The Fed is caught in a trap of its own making. Raise rates too high, and the economy crashes. Keep them too low, and inflation runs wild. They're walking a tightrope, hoping no one notices the safety net is gone. And Bitcoin? It's quietly rewriting the rules beneath their feet. Because Bitcoin isn't just digital cash, it's a fixed supply, transparent, decentralized store of value. No printing presses, no bailout packages. If you think about it, Bitcoin's scarcity is the opposite of what's happening with fiat money right now. Think about the last 15 years. The Fed printed over $10 trillion. Bitcoin supply stuck at 21 million coins. The more the Fed prints, the more Bitcoin's value proposition shines. The question isn't whether Bitcoin will replace the dollar tomorrow. It's whether Bitcoin is quietly becoming the escape hatch from a broken system. But here's the catch. Bitcoin's rise threatens the very foundation of monetary control. If people lose faith in the dollar and flock to Bitcoin or other alternatives, governments could lose the ability to steer the economy, to influence inflation, to manage crises. The stakes? Huge. For decades, the Fed's power was the backbone of global finance. Now that backbone is cracking. And it's not just about economics, it's about political control, social stability, and who holds the real power over your money. So what happens next? Will the Fed admit its limits, reinvent its strategy? Or will Bitcoin and decentralized money force a reckoning? One thing is clear. The story of inflation is no longer just about prices. It's about a fundamental shift in how we understand and control value itself. Here's the unresolved question that lingers. When money loses its value, what really holds value? Is it government promises, central banks, or something entirely new like Bitcoin? The answer isn't coming soon. But the question is already changing everything. What do? You think? Is Bitcoin the future of money or just a passing phase? Comment below.